intro today. Hi, Anthony. Hi, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Phosphorescent LP, Muchacho. Phosphorescent is the musical project of singer-songwriter, guitar player Matthew. He has 6 full-length albums under his belt, all of which sit under the umbrella of neo-folk, indie folk, alt-country, as well as Americana. This dude is a singer-songwriter through and through. And a lot of the early releases to come out of this project have more of a sort of raw, tangible sound to the instrumentation, sort of lo-fi in recording quality, but still pretty mellow and having a lot of emotional vulnerability. And this sense of mellowness really took over the band's music in a huge way, especially in 2010, where it even showed up in the album title of the LP, Here's to Taking It Easy. Now, there are a lot of different ways to play folk music and country music, but it seems that the sweeter and more pleasant sounds in these genres are what really sort of speaks to Matthew artistically. Yet he tops a lot of this heavenly Americana instrumentation with this warbly voice of his that is very pleasant as well, but also maybe a little sad. Now, the band's latest LP, Muchacho, is no less easygoing than much of anything else they've put out in recent years. I would actually say it's just as easygoing, but it sort of goes about capturing this vibe in a different way, because glistening, reverbed, kind of psychedelic and pristine production is essentially the game changer on Muchacho. I wouldn't necessarily call Muchacho a safe record, but it is certainly a friendly record, a record that is sure not to offend much of anybody. It's quite pretty a lot of the time. The lead vocals often have harmonies behind them, the production melts them together and soars them above the instrumentation, and the instrumentation itself is often very soft, delicate, and joyous as well. As far as Matthew's lyrical content goes, a lot of what he says seems to kind of revolve around the same Americana type tropes: evil, good, the devil, love, being downtrodden emotionally. Instrumentally, a lot of the same sort of culprits show up on this record: bass, guitars, drums, vocals, maybe a little bit of horn, a little bit of string, as well as some lap steel. Very folky and familiar chord progressions all over this LP, a lot of which seem to be rooted back in traditional American music, much like the track on this LP, Muchacho's Tune, which is a waltz in 3/4 waltz with very bouncy keyboards echoing out nicely, guitars that wander up and down scales, plinky pianos, and though it's all playing at a tempo, it's all so distant. There's so much space in between all the instrumentation. It's as if it's all kind of like one small atom and everything is kind of rotating very loosely around this one idea. And though Matthew's voice doesn't exactly cut through the reverb in a really aggressive or very ear-catching way, some of the things he says can be very poetic, very sharp. Been fucked up, a shepherd to the lamb, like a wave to the sand. And the very uplifting horns toward the end of this track. This song has a very strong sense of romance to it. Another track I really dig on this LP is Song for ZULA. It's one of the longest songs on this LP and maybe one of the sharpest and most passionate as well. There's some great string arrangements on this track. The bass instrumentation is really reverbed and glossy. Matthew's vocals have a really striking and memorable vocal melody to them. And not only that, but his lyrics seem to be a little more audible on this track than they are on others. It's like there are moments on this LP where he is super impressed with his own lyricism and he wants to make sure that everyone hears it. And there are some pretty interesting lyrics on this track where he's singing about love disfiguring him into something that he's not recognizing, or another line where he's saying that he's not going to struggle or stand to be acknowledged by his gnarled hands. There are a lot of themes of just loving unconditionally, rejection, desperation, and maybe, I think, a little bit of pride that comes up in this song in a really interesting way. And another one of my favorite tracks on this LP is the longest, the 7-minute Quotidian Beasts. I really like that the band sort of ventures out into a jam on this track. It is a strong Americana flavored jam. There's a real hard groove to this track, despite how pleasant and sort of reverb the production is on this song. However, I will say that this is one of the moments where I feel like something a little bit clearer and a little bit meatier would have been more interesting. It actually sounds more like a one microphone live recording of the band just performing in the moment very far away from the stage. The microphone, that is. Sometimes the CRP production masks what could have been a good song. Even though I do think Matthew is a good singer, capable singer, he's a good lyricist as well when he wants to display it, he doesn't exactly have the boldest voice or demeanor. It also doesn't help that many of the melodies that he sings follow very closely in Roots music footsteps. Maybe Matthew is sort of hoping longtime fans will follow Phosphorescent up until this point and sort of fill in the gaps that are being created with all of this reverb that is being laid onto this LP, because I think sometimes the reverb on these songs can hide more than it enhances. This, combined with a few tracks on here that are maybe not so pointed or well written, this album can at times feel sort of samey. The song Ride On, Right On, while the track does bring a different vibe to the table, it's essentially the album's rocker. Average guitar noodling, this stomp, strutting bass line to it. I like the minimal percussion too. The song is very simple, and I just like that the band took a kind of stripped down Velvet Underground kind of approach to this song, but Matthew doesn't exactly display the kind of charm and swagger to pull this sort of song off. I really sort of sway between being really enthralled by these songs and being really underwhelmed by these songs as I sort of trip through this album from front to back. Some tracks on here have a strong melody and personality to them, and others, it seems like the very pleasant production and just soft instrumentation are the only real positives. I'm feeling a decent to strong 6 on this thing. If you've given it a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, Phosphorescent, forever.